Hello, Project Runway fans. I'm Gold Derby editor Daniel Montgomery, here with my fellow senior editor Susan Wloszczyna, and we are here to talk about the most recent episode, Olympic Game Plan, in which the designers had to create looks for very special clients, namely 2020 Olympians and Paralympians competing this summer in Tokyo. And client challenges can always be kind of scary because you've got designers interacting with people who are not fashion people, and so are they going to run roughshod over these clients and just give them whatever they want to do without any kind of sense of what the client wants? In this case, it was the exact opposite. Everyone bent over backwards to serve their clients so much that maybe it didn't serve their designs quite as well, according to the judges, but all of the clients were really happy, and I think that's the most important part, and I think that's why, of course, we got this week's surprise elimination, which was no elimination at all. What did you think about that challenge and that ending?
I was fearing the worst because I've seen the worst on Project Runway when they try to, do designs for real people, but yet keep their aesthetic and put that on top of whatever their client wants. And I think these people were far more mature about it than I've seen in the past. And so it made for a very pleasant experience because truly these women, these athletes were amazing. And they knew how to cater to them. And I think, a few of them lost some of their pizzazz because of it, but that didn't matter as much. And I think they put the feelings of those athletes first, and that's the way it should have been. And, most of the designs, maybe not all of them were perfect, but I've seen them do worse. So,
yeah.
But the only negative for me was Victoria, because she made the same damn silhouette dress. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't like. In looking back on this dress, I realized that it was basically the 2-hour dress she made in Sheer Genius, but the good version of it that she made in more time. And it looked good, and her client was extremely happy with it, and it was what the client wanted. So it wasn't like Victoria was just sort of overruling what the client wanted, which I thought if anyone was going to do that, it was going to be her. It's like, oh, I want a simple, pink dress. And she's like, oh, would you like black asymmetric straps and cutouts? But no, she gave the client, her aesthetic and the client's wishes kind of matched well enough that she was able to create something. But yeah, it really was. I feel like she is a designer with basically two ideas, and there's this kind of more masculine suit thing with all the straps and suits and cutouts, and then when she makes the dress, she makes the same one asymmetric dress, that high, low, and a little bit open here and straps there, and so it's like, as much as the judges get on Nancy sometimes for not having a really clear identity as a designer, I feel like Victoria's identity is too specific to just like two ideas. And we see variations of those every week. So I'm a little surprised that she ended up in the top two. And there were only two in the top because the judges had 2 top looks and 4 bottom looks, which I disagreed that all those bottom looks were bottom looks. But yeah, it felt like a very off the rack challenge where the designers ended up making things for their clients. And that's the one thing that I think was a little disappointing. I think they could have pushed the innovation a little bit while still giving the clients what they wanted instead of just sort of holding everything back. That's the one thing that I was a little bit disappointed by. But the one person, of course, who I think really nailed every aspect of the challenge and rightly won it, her first victory of the season, was Nancy. She made the dress her client wanted. It was suitable to her needs. It was completely customized to her, to be accessible for her to use in the wheelchair. And she did so much more work on it, with a reveal, and then there were things that would pull off with Velcro and pull back on so that she could, use it herself. It was and it looked good, which was the most important thing.
I knew when I saw her client go down to the runway with just glowing that she nailed. I mean, I knew she would win this week. I just knew, because I've never seen anyone walk down that runway so happy before, and just really working it in the way that we haven't seen, with her train and all that. I mean, it was great. And I think she just felt very special. And that's what was, the desired outcome for having these women being celebrated that way. And, most of them, they never, I don't know how much money you make as an Olympian. You got gold, I guess, right? Or silver.
Yeah, like, unless you're, like, again, I'm not an Olympian, so I don't know this for sure, but what my understanding is that if you're not, like, at the top level where you're getting Nike and Wheaties endorsements and all that sort of stuff, you do kind of need a day job, to get you through the year, especially if it's not the sort of thing that has like a professional league that pays you that you're doing outside of the Olympics, like a basketball player, that sort of thing. So like for a lot of those people, they probably do have like day jobs and like a plan B for after the sports thing is over. Like them getting a custom dress, like Lindsey Vonn is one of those lead athletes who's going to have endorsements and opportunities like that. It was clearly special to see them get a chance to kind of be that kind of glamorous A-list celebrity athlete, which was really lovely for all of them, especially the Paralympians, who even more so than the able-bodied Olympians are less likely to be those kind of like famous faces that we see everywhere. It was a really nice moment for all of them, and they were all happy. And I think I'm so happy that the designers all made their clients happy.
Well, they gave them shoes to match their outfits, but they didn't really accessorize, and that sort of surprised me. And I thought a little bit of bling would go away, like I think Jeffrey's, outfit had maybe too much bling already. But I think, like Sergio's, it could have used a beautiful statement necklace or something. I don't know. But that wasn't the point. It was to celebrate who they were as people and to do what they wanted to wear. So they did that. And I felt right before Carly said, and you're all...
Yeah, it was kind of... It's not like they were all going to be eliminated, because that would be the other thing she said. Like,
no. Well, then they would have problems. But next week, bloodbath, right? It's a crazy challenge, the avant-garde challenge. So, and I've never seen this thing. I mean, you live in New York, but I don't know what this thing is. This what you called a space pine cone or something. Yeah,
it's the vessel. It's I've never been in it, but I've like been in that area and walked around it, and it's not far from the Javits Center where I go to Comic-Con every year.
Oh, okay.
So I saw.
So it's by the water there.
Yeah, it's very close to the Hudson. And so I saw it sort of in the process of construction, and then they finally finished it. I've never gotten a chance to go into it, but I've been like within spitting distance of it, and I've taken pictures of it. And yeah, it looks like a giant space pine cone. And it's really cool. And so I'm really looking forward to that part of it. And I'm looking forward to the avant-garde part of it, because especially this week when it felt like the designers were pulling back a little bit to make their clients happy and to not go over the top with something really bold and out there. Like I really want crazy. I like, especially when they're given permission to do crazy. Like something like, oh, you have to create a red carpet look. You can't go necessarily all the way bonkers. But when it's an avant-garde challenge, I want to see designers, like I want them to play with volume and weird, crazy shapes and flattering, yes. But like I want to see those kind of big, weird ideas. Like even in the clip for next week's show, when they showed what Britney was working on, and Christian said, "Oh, she's in a pink straitjacket," and I'm like, that looks kind of cool, though. A pink straitjacket could be kind of cool for an avant-garde challenge.
Well, who do you think will do the best with this one?
I think I have a couple of ideas for who will do the best. One is potentially Victoria, because she has a very kind of out there style. And I remember that blue space alien she made for the Heritage Challenge. Yeah. Like I can see her going weird and over the top in a way that's still controlled and well constructed. At the same time, I think she has a tendency to fall into the same ideas over and over again. So I'm not sure how much she could stretch beyond those ideas that she's already expressed several times. And the other one who I think would really be suited to it is Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeffrey feels like, like I remember the sheer challenge where he did those like stiff shoulders and that really,
yeah.
And they were like, "What is that? That's really weird." And
I kind of liked it, but
I liked it too.
I don't know how see-through that bodice was, so maybe that bugged them.
Yeah, that bugged them. I think it was deliberate though, and it was something that the model said she was totally comfortable with. So Jeffrey went there with it, and Jeffrey's the kind of designer who goes there. And whenever they show like old photos of Jeffrey in drag or in clothes that he was experimenting, like he has that kind of avant-garde spirit. So I think if given the opportunity to cut loose, he could make something really cool and that's really true to him. So I'm really looking forward to him on it. But
okay,
I want to up and down every week.
I want to place a bet. Will Victoria say avant-garde? What is that?
That's a good question. But I feel like because France is closer to Moldova, maybe she'll understand the French phrase more than she understands English phrases like sheer.
Opaque.
I do worry about Nancy with an avant-garde challenge because she's been a very wearable designer. Not one who I've seen go like big and over the top in ways. Like, I mean, she did have that really cool coat with the dildo pocket, so she has those that kind of spirit. But I don't know if she has like the construction kind of ideas to make something really out there.
So is the shape of the vessel, is it like maybe would it lead to a bustle in the back or something? If you wanted to
I mean, they're going to be inspired, but like I could imagine like seeing like if they're going to be really inspired by the vessel, I could see like a bunch of corsets that are like a vessel-like.
Well, that would be good. Yeah.
But I hope everyone doesn't have the same idea for it.
Okay, but Nancy went the farthest and most. I mean, she had 5 pieces to make, and it worked out.
And she had a reveal that wasn't even revealed on the runway until after they were talking about it. It's like, oh, yeah, this piece takes off, and there's a separate black dress underneath, and it was so. She did so much work on that, and she did the kind of work that Sergio usually does on a garment this week. So she was the one who really took a lot of construction on it.
No, I was just glad. I knew she would win before they were even done with the runway because, like I said, that client, there was no denying she was delighted.
Yeah, and she was the last look on that runway, and after seeing the other looks, which I was so thrilled that the clients were happy, but I'm like, they were mostly pretty good or okay, and then hers came out, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, but it was literally the showstopper.
Well, Marquise disappointed me the most because the cheesy braiding, it just looked like an art project in middle school or something.
Yeah, it did look like. The whole idea was to make his client, because she's very petite, and so, and I have a couple of friends who are like very short in stature, and they do shop in Juniors because that's where you can find clothes in your size. And so I do think I loved the slit. That idea was just the centerpiece of that idea. But then from the waist up, he could have done something a lot more bold and inventive and grown up, and she did look like a flower girl, like that from the waist up. And so I felt like that was a missed opportunity.
But also when you're he cut her in half. So when you're short, that you want a silhouette that is one thing, because it was like your eye couldn't go any farther, and she's so short-waisted, it just didn't flatter her in some way, and she needed more, not volume, but maybe something on top that was, they're all making those kind of collars, right, too, but I think it would have softened it and made her look a little more sophisticated. I don't know, because it just looked like a beach top to me, rather than, something really that you would wear for a special occasion or something.
Yeah. The other one that disappointed me, and I felt for him, and I'm glad no one was eliminated for it. He just had issues with, like, if he had more time, he could have made it perfect. But Jeffrey, his client had a larger stature, a muscular build, and he made this really skimpy dress for her, and it was true to what she wanted. But I think he could have, like, I think it was cut too low for her body, and it was too short, and so it ended up being like she's this incredibly strong, tall, imposing woman in this tiny
little dress, yeah.
Her. And so, like, I think it could have been a little bit better fitted to her body. And so, but I think that was just an issue of time. I really like the details of kind of like the pleating and then the cross thing going to the slit. I really liked those details of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, like, if this had been a 2-day challenge, he would have been able to
bring it
out a lot more successfully.
Yeah. But no, overall it was fun. I just next week it's going to be hard that 2 people have to go. So
yeah, I wonder if we're going to get a challenge winner, or if it's going to be one of those things where it's like, okay, out of you 6, you're advancing, but there's not going to be like a winner per se of the challenge.
When does that happen?
Well, since they're sending 4 from next week's episode, and which is that's what they're doing. Yeah. Like the finale would be, it's usually like a 2-week affair. So
right.
They'd send, they decide, and I think sometimes they do that, like they'll just advance 4 people instead of declaring a winner on the last challenge, just because it's like that way it doesn't sort of influence where people are going to the next episode. So it's not like the judges already have a favorite from those 4. So it's just like, no, you are the 4, you advance, and sorry, you 2, you don't. So I wonder if that's going to happen. And I honestly wonder, it's really going to be, in addition to who does well in the avant-garde challenge, it's going to be who has done well all season and who they're really excited to see a collection for. So even if they do really well in the avant-garde challenge, we might see someone be sent home if the judges think, well, your work over the season hasn't been that, like, we're not sure we need to see more from you. And that's what worries me with someone like a Nancy. Like, I think Victoria can, like, fall on her face, and I think she'll probably still make the finale because they're going to want to see a collection from her.
I'm thinking Marquise isn't Marquise. I'm thinking he's running out of steam. I mean, he was doing pretty well, but I don't think our avant-garde is necessarily his strong suit.
Especially as a self-taught designer who, like, and not to go all Sergio, but like he doesn't have a construction background,
right? So
I don't know if he's going to be able to go big in that way. As opposed to,
but Jeffrey could like blow everyone away.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because he just is that he makes costumes. I mean, for himself even. I mean, those flashback photos are a little freaky because he doesn't seem to be that person, because even the haircut or how his beard is or whatever. I mean, he looks like somebody else every time they show a old photo of him. But not that that's bad. It's just, he's next to his relatives or whatever, and he kind of sticks out. And not necessarily a bad way all the time.
Yeah, in a way that sort of has inspired him. With like why he was so into Cyndi Lauper is because he felt like that person who stuck out like a sore thumb. Like, I am not like everyone else is around me. What everyone else thinks I should be. And so, yeah, it's definitely helped get him this far. And like thinking about like given their work this season, and given their personal aesthetics, I feel like there are 3 designers, unless they totally like just crap out on the avant-garde challenge, who I think are pretty safe for the finale, and that's Jeffrey. I think they're going to want to see a collection. Brittany and Victoria. I think those are the 3 whose personalities as designers I think they're going to want to see a collection from. And the last spot will be between the other 3.
I'm all for the first 2. Victoria, I
agree with you.
Of your asymmetrical, strappy, weavy, whatever, Yeah, I'm over it. And even, I think the client that she did the design for was very, very happy with it, but I still didn't think it was a wow.
Yeah, they gave her credit, which I don't think was necessarily fair to even give her credit for, where they're like, that was the only look where we could really see your stylistic, like we knew that was a Victoria dress. But the problem is we knew that was a Victoria dress because that's the one dress that Victoria always makes.
Right.
So, it's almost like, for me personally, I feel like we don't necessarily need to see a collection from her, because I feel like the 10, 11 looks that we've seen from her are kind of already that collection, and anything else that she makes, I don't know if there's more from her that we haven't seen.
Yeah. Well, you've done these galleries of their best and worst looks, so how did you feel putting hers together?
I was surprised putting hers together. 'Cause, it was like, for some designers, it's very clear which is their number one look. Like, I made Jeffrey, it's like the tie-dye look is the best look Jeffrey has made this season. Yeah. For Brittany, I think it was the long short look that was easily, for me, the best look that she made. But for Victoria, it was so much easier figuring out what her worst looks were than her best. Because I realized, like, looking back at her looks over the season, it's like, even the ones that I had sort of admired, I wasn't in love with any of them.
I liked her, I guess it was a Cyndi Lauper challenge. The street look. Which one was that?
Oh, the streetwear, the Cats of the Urban Jungle?
No, because that was animal print.
Yeah. I think she did like the white, strappy, up and down, back and forth thing for that one.
This was one.
Oh, no. Do you mean like sort of the leather one that was sort of leather? Yeah. I think that was in my top 3.
But I forget what the challenge was.
Yeah, that was the Cyndi Lauper challenge.
Okay, I like that one the best. That was.
I think I put that one 3rd. The one I ended up at number 1 was one that I, like, when it first aired, I wasn't expecting to put it at number 1. And Ask Me Tomorrow, maybe I'll disagree, because I think the one you mentioned, the Cyndi Lauper one, was also in my top 3. But it was the Suit Yourself challenge, where she made that like sort of tuxedo thing with that high slit and the sort of glittery garter thing. And I was like, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, that looks good, but it looks very Victoria in a way that we've seen Victoria do. Yeah. But when I looked over all the looks, I'm like, yeah, that's probably the best one. And then my second place one was her Cats of the Urban Jungle. I think it was Cats of the Urban Jungle look, where it's like the first time we really saw that very specific thing, which is why I think it's my favorite of those things, because it was the first time she showed it to us and it really did look new. And so it was white and like strappy all back and forth, and she had the big yellow bag. And so I thought that was really good. I also ranked her Slay the Runway unconventional challenges look relatively high. So I've really, those are the looks that I've really liked from her. But again, I was surprised how little passion I had for her best looks, just personally speaking. I just look at them and go like, yeah, that was good. That was interesting. But I wasn't like, oh, this is obviously X person's best look. And like everyone else, including Nancy, has wowed me at least once. And Victoria has impressed. Like, she's a designer I admire more than I love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad Nancy was on the show. So
Yeah, and the irony is that even if I think she might have a hard time getting to the finale because I'm not sure the judges are going to want to see like a full collection from her.
yeah.
But as a result of this episode, where 4 of the other designers got low scores, Nancy now has the fewest low scores of any designer left.
Wow.
She has only actually landed in the bottom twice. And it was the Suit Yourself challenge where she redid the pants.
Yeah.
And it was the Ashley Longshore challenge where she did the pants in the first place. So ironically, even though the judges really like the cut of those pants, she should just never make those pants again because those are the only times she's ever landed.
Yeah, she needs to get out of those pants. Okay. Anyway, well, so how many more episodes do we have? 4?
Well, seasons are usually 14 episodes, and so
14.
Judging by what it looks like next week we'll have the last main challenge, and then it'll be a 2-week finale. So I'm thinking 3 more episodes.
Did Christian go to their houses like Tim Gunn did last year?
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did like sort of home visits, in that first episode of the finale.
I bet he's changed so much. I bet the first time they said you gotta go to their homes, he's probably like rolling his eyes, but he's come to find his place in the world of being a host. So I very much appreciate him. I wish they I think this season is so much better that I'm hoping they'll get some awards attention.
I do too, and honestly, I feel like because we're also Emmy experts here at Gold Derby. I feel like his after show, they're going to submit that for like short form talk show or variety or something like that, and it might be worthy of a nominee because it's really like I really enjoy watching him get to know these designers, sit down with them after he even had a good interview with Swatch. Like, no,
that was great.
He's so good in this role in a way that I didn't expect, in a way that's completely different than how Tim Gunn was a mentor. And so he has really made that role his own and in a way expanded it because I feel more of his presence as opposed to just like, looking at their work and saying, make it work. He's really interacting with them in a much more personal, close, consistent way over the course.
Because they're peers almost, he knows everything they feel,
Yeah, and he won the show like more than a decade ago, but he's of like a similar age to most of them. He's younger than I am.
34. I know. I looked at that and I said he's younger than Daniel.
He's younger than Sergio. He's younger than Jeffrey. He's younger than Nancy, of course. He's a little older than a couple of the others. So yeah, he's very much a peer. But also a peer you aspire to, someone who is of your age range, but someone who has already accomplished a lot very early. So he's sort of perfect for that role, and I'm just really thrilled with him. And like, it's the best thing about the new Runway since, because it was so scary for, I'm sure, a lot of fans when it's like, oh, Project Runway is coming back, but not with Heidi Klum or Tim Gunn. And it felt like, well, the identity of the show is gone. And in a way, that's true. It sort of has a different identity with Kristen Siriano, but I think it's just as good, and I'm really thrilled for it.
Well, this is probably the most mature overall group of designers. I mean, Alan accepted. He's at least funny when he's immature. So.
Yeah, he was funny and sort of lighthearted, wasn't taking everything so seriously, but he was. Like, I think he took his work seriously. Like, he never threw something down the runway that he just sort of like, even when he was unsuccessful, it was like he was making.
He really trying. Yeah. I just don't think he has the skill set yet to make it work every time.
Yeah. Well, he was the youngest or one of the youngest designers.
Yeah.
He was like
24? 25?
Yeah, something like 24, 25. And so it's like, yeah, he's got time.
Yeah. Well, the after show, poor Christian goes, when you're doing a show about eliminated contestant, you gotta have an eliminate. But instead they put the wrestling athlete who was Victoria's model on, and it's a little serious. and she gives, she pins him down and asks him some questions. So, and there's no beverages, so not even Gatorade, But no, yeah, I said this after show, I'm going to have to see how it goes. So. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, the last time that happened to Christian, it was his own fault because he used the Siriano save, so
right.
He didn't have an eliminated designer to talk to.
But then he did have Swatch, right?
Then he did have Swatch, yeah.
Yeah, there's not enough. There's a little more Swatch this season.
Oh, there's a lot more Swatch, than certainly, because I remember, you had, Swatch Watch for a few weeks. It's where did he go? When is he going to show up again? This week, we got at least a glimpse of him most of the time, and then we got, a whole segment for him in the after show. So it's Swatch is a star.
I think I'm going to say that somehow my noticing that helped give Swatch a little more airtime.
The editors were like, "Oh, we're leaving too much of Swatch on the cutting room floor. Let's throw in a few frames of Swatch."
Right. Well, it'll be interesting next week.
Yeah, it will be. Thank you, Susan, for joining me, and thank you to everyone for watching or listening. And we will be talking about Avant-Garde next week in the giant space pine cone. So until next week, we will see you then.